in this web application I have 4 servlets. First servlet, hello servlet, display header servlet, login servlet. 4 servlets are configured here, and for login servlet only I configured init parameters. I configured init param tag, right? So tell me, how many servlet config objects will be there for this application right now? How many servlet config objects will be there? 4. 4 servlets are there. 4 servlet config objects will be there. See, there are 4 servlet tags. For each servlet tag, for each servlet configuration, for each servlet tag, there will be one servlet config object which will be created, right? So servlet config object for login servlet is different than the servlet config object for display header servlet, right? So for each and every servlet there will be a separate servlet config object, right? Now by using the servlet config object of login servlet, I can access the password value root, right? By using servlet config object for login servlet, inside the servlet class I can say config.get init parameter pass wd, I will get the value, right? But now let us assume that inside this another servlet also I want to establish database connection. I want to create a database connection object inside other servlet also, right? So see here, display header servlet, right? Let me open the display servlet, display header servlet class. This is a servlet, another servlet. Let's assume that I want another database connection also inside it. So I can write init method, and here what I can do is I can say get servlet config. I will be getting an object of servlet config, right? Now this is another servlet. Here I got servlet config. Once I said get servlet config for display header servlet, I will be getting a servlet config object which will be having information about this servlet tag, right? So can I access pass wd which is present in another servlet tag by using config.get init parameter pass wd? What will I get? Tell me. Will I be able to get the value? Okay, will I be able to get the value of password? No, because this servlet config which I got for display header servlet is having the information present in this servlet tag. Here I didn't configure any init parameter. I configured init parameter only for login servlet, right? So I will not be able to access the init parameter pass wd inside display header servlet, right? But what if I want to create a database connection inside this servlet also? I need to access password here also, right? So what we understood is the init parameter configured for one servlet cannot be accessible inside other servlet. Inside, if I have configured init parameter for login servlet, inside that servlet only I will be able to access it. I cannot access it in another servlet, right? So what I want is, I want some parameters which will be visible, which can be accessed by all servlets, right? So for that purpose we have another thing. Yes, here see above all servlet tags I am writing a tag called context param. Previously I used init param. Now this is context param. Inside this context param, what I can do is I'll say param name pass wd and param value root. So this context param tag is not present in any servlet tag, it's outside of all servlet tags, right? So this can be accessed by any of the servlets. All the servlets declared inside web.xml can access this context param. Let me tell you how to access it. Okay. Okay. If you want to understand what is context parameter and how to access it, you need to know one more thing called as servlet context. You know what is servlet config? An object which contains everything present inside servlet tag, servlet configuration is called as servlet config, right? Now, let me tell you, once the application is getting deployed, means once my application is starting up, if I start Tomcat will scan for my application and it will try to deploy it, right? During deployment, yesterday I told, my container will read web.xml, right? During deployment of your application, whenever your application is starting, my container will read web.xml. With all the information present in web.xml, it will create an object called servlet context. So servlet context object contains all the information present in web.xml, whereas servlet config object contains all the information present in servlet tag. The servlet context knows about everything present inside the web.xml. So when is it created? When the application is getting deployed, means when the application is starting up, right? Now tell me, servlet config object is created first or servlet context object is created first? Servlet context. Okay, I will just clarify you again. First, if I start my application, during the start of the application, servlet container will read web.xml. It will create servlet context with all the information present in web.xml. Okay. Now application is started. Whenever I give a first request for my servlet, then the servlet has to be initialized. Before initializing the servlet, servlet config object is created, right? So servlet config object is created just before initialization, but servlet context object is created when the application is getting deployed. So servlet context object is created first. Okay. Okay. Now see the flow. Let's assume that I am starting my application. Okay. Once I start my Tomcat. Yeah, 1 minute. 1 minute. When the application is starting up, let's assume that this is the JVM for Tomcat, heap memory. When the application is starting up, servlet context object is created first. This is servlet context. Okay, this is servlet context. And whenever I give a first request for my servlet, servlet object is created. Let's assume I am giving a request for login servlet. This is servlet object. Whenever I give a first request for my servlet, login servlet is created. I am taking an example of giving a request to login servlet. So once login servlet is created, login servlet will be initialized. During initialization, what the container will do, it will create an object of servlet config. Okay, just I will represent this servlet config object like this. This is servlet config. Okay. During initialization, what the container will do, it will give the reference of servlet config. It will pass the reference of servlet config to login servlet by through init method. Container will call init method. It gives the reference of servlet config to login servlet, right? Okay. Now see the flow now. Before initializing login servlet, servlet config object is created. Immediately after servlet config is created, the reference of servlet context is given to servlet config. Then servlet config object is passed to login servlet, right? So now, if I want servlet config, servlet context object in login servlet, what I can do? First I can get servlet config. You know how to get servlet config in your servlet class? Then from servlet config I can get servlet context. See now how to get it. I'll use login servlet here. I got just I'm commenting this line. Get servlet config. I got the servlet config object, right? Okay, config dot get servlet context. See, I told that config will be having a reference of servlet context. So config object dot get servlet context, I'll get the reference of servlet context. This is the way to get reference of servlet context in your servlet. Okay. Now servlet context knows everything present inside the web.xml. In web.xml I have configured context param. Now I want to get the value of a context parameter called passwd. So now what I can do is context dot get init parameter, context object dot get init parameter. If I pass the name of the parameter, what is the name of the parameter here? Passwd. I will get the value. Right? So this is the way to get context parameter value inside your program by using servlet context. How to get a servlet context? From servlet config. How to get servlet config? Call the method called get servlet. This is all the chain you need to understand. Once you understood about context param and servlet's init param, tell me which is best to use. Context param is better to use or init param is better to use? If I configure context param here like this, right? How many servlet context objects will be there for one application? Only one. When the application is starting, one servlet context object is created. That's all. For one application, one servlet context. But how many servlet configs for one application? According to number of servlets, right? So servlet context object is same. So tell me, for first servlet, same servlet context can be accessed. For next one, hello servlet also, same servlet context can be accessed, right? So if I configure context params, the value of passwd here can be accessed by all servlets, right? But if I configure init param like here if I have configured init param, I can access it through which object? Servlet config object, right? This can be accessible only inside login servlet. It cannot be accessible outside, right? So I'll tell, if you want something to be shared by all servlets of your application, configure it as context param. If you want something very specific to your own servlet, then configure it as servlet init param. Okay? Any doubts? Let me tell you one more scenario. I'll write a separate application now. I want you to tell a concept called how to forward a request from one servlet to other now. Let's assume that there are two servlets. Let's assume that there are two servlets. One servlet with URL pattern /first and another servlet with URL pattern /second. Now what I want to do is I want to make a request from browser. I will give a request to /first. This first servlet should do some operations, should do some logic, and then forward the request to another servlet with URL pattern second. This is what I want to do. Okay, so you can also do parallelly with me right now. We'll create a separate project, create two servlets, and I'll try to show you how to forward from one servlet to other. Okay. I'm going to create a new project now. File new, dynamic web projects. Here what I'll do is I'll say servlet forwarding. Next, finish. I created a project with name certconf forwarding. Then I'll try to create a package first. com.extension. I'm creating a new servlet. See here, once I create a new project, let me show you the web.xml. It is having this. Just delete this, make it empty, so that I can clearly demonstrate you. Web.xml, I am making it empty. Then creating a new servlet. First servlet. Take next and give the URL pattern. Here the URL mapping, I am double clicking and giving it as /first. Remember, the URL mapping should always be starting with /, otherwise it's an error. Okay. Then next, take only do get right now. I don't want do post. Uncheck do post. Finish. Now in first servlet I am not doing anything, just I will write some logic, small logic. I write some small code, not even logic also. Same response dot get writer, I'll get print writer. Out is equals to, then I'll just print out dot println. This is from first servlet. That's all. Here I'm taking do get. Here also I will write a similar code. I'll copy paste the 2 lines from here, and I'll just write this is from second servlet. See here, in first servlet what I'm doing is I'm creating new second servlet dot do get and pass request and response. See here, see the logic now. If I give a request to first servlet, this will get executed, right? And then I'm creating an object of second servlet and call and do get. So whatever I printed in second servlet also will get executed, right? Is it? Will I get the output of both servlets now? Yes, I'll get the output of both servlets. Let us see what will happen now. I'll just give a request. See, I'm right clicking on this first servlet, run on server. Now server is starting. See, I gave a request /first, but I got the output of both servlets. This is from first servlet, this is from second servlet, right? So I achieved the outputs, but is it the right way? No. Why? See, I gave a request to first servlet. From first servlet, I am calling second servlet. Yes. Okay, now I will give an example. Let's assume that I am your project manager. Okay, or your project manager, you are assigned to one project, and project manager assigns you a task. Let us take an example of one famous person here. Okay, let's assume that project manager gave work to Varun. Okay, your project manager gave you work to do. Some work he gave, and you want to go for a movie today. So what do you do? In your project, let's assume Rahul also is there. So what you can do? Will you ask Rahul to do your work? Of course. Okay, Rahul, will you do his work? Definitely. Let's assume that you are free. You are not having any work. Will you do? What if you do and what if you not do? Project manager has assigned to him only, but he wants to go to movie without telling his project. Okay, he has to go to hospital. Then you think, okay, let us assume that Rahul has done Varun's work. Will the project manager know? No, project manager assigned to Varun. Project manager will feel that Varun only has done his work, right? Let us assume that Rahul is a very good programmer. And when it is the time to appraisal, who will get good appraisal? Varun will get good appraisal or Rahul will get good appraisal? Varun will get good appraisal. But Varun didn't do the work. Okay, let us assume the reverse case. Rahul is a very bad programmer. He has done very bad programming and something got corrupted in the project. So who will get the project manager will think that Varun only has done all this programming and he will get he will not get high call. So the problem is if project manager knows that you are delegating your work to Rahul, then that is fine, right? If you delegate the work to Rahul without project manager knowing, then it is a problem, right? So project manager is managing all the people in the project, right? Everything should be known to project manager, right? Here also, who is managing the life cycle of all servlets? Container. Servlet container is managing life cycle of all servlets, right? So everything should go through container only. So whenever a request comes to first servlet, if first servlet wants to forward the request to second servlet, it should not directly forward like this. The first servlet should ask the container please forward the request to second servlet. Then container, if the container is okay, then it will forward. If the container is not okay, then it will not forward. It will not forward. So now what you are doing in first servlet is you have to write some code to ask the container to forward the request, right? There is some procedure to ask. There are some few steps to ask the container to forward the request to another servlet. See the steps. First step is to get a reference of servlet context. How to get servlet context? First, get a reference of servlet config. I will get a reference of servlet config. Then by using config, I should get the reference of servlet context. I will take it in servlet context. Then context dot, there is a method called get request dispatcher. Context dot get request dispatcher. You have to give the URL pattern of the next servlet /second. You will get an object called request dispatcher. Then I need to say request dispatcher dot forward and pass request object, forward message taking request object comma response object. These are the steps for forwarding. I'll just tell you briefly. What we want to do is first you have to get the reference of servlet context. How to get servlet context? First get the config. By using config I am getting the context. These are the two steps to get servlet context. But there is a shortcut to get servlet context. I'll just comment both of them and I will use get servlet context. Get servlet context, directly I'll get reference of servlet context. This is a convenient method for us. Instead of writing these two steps, first getting servlet config and config.get servlet context, there is a method called get servlet context inherited from generic servlet, which is directly giving you the object of servlet context. So there are two ways of getting servlet context. One way is by using config, you can get servlet context, and other way is you can directly call get servlet context. So from now onwards we will be using this one only. Okay, so first get the reference of servlet context, then context or get request dispatcher. For dispatching request from one server to other, you need an object called request dispatcher. How to get the request dispatcher? Context.get request dispatcher. You have to give the URL pattern of the servlet where you want to forward. You will be getting an object of request dispatcher, then request dispatcher dot forward. While forwarding, you are passing request object and response object. Okay. So now I'll just run this application and show you what will happen. I'm restarting my server. Okay, then I am refreshing it. I got the output of second servlet only. I didn't get the output of first servlet. I'll explain you the logic, what is happening. But before that, just do it. Here, whenever I am saying context or get request dispatcher, what is this? This is servlet name, right? Yeah? Is this servlet name? This is URL pattern, not the servlet name. Remember, I have seen most of the others using servlet name here. This is servlet URL pattern. Okay. Now I want the reason why the output is like this. Why am I getting the output of second servlet only? Why am I not getting the output of first servlet? Yes. See the reason. All of you listen here. Now I have a question. My question is, when I gave a request for first servlet, the control came here out.println. Whatever I wrote will be printed. Whatever I write by using out.println, will it be directly going to browser or will it be going to server? Server. From web container it will go to HTTP server, right? So this might have gone to server. Then I am forwarding it to second servlet, and again it is printing out.println second servlet. So I am expecting the output of both the servlets, but the output which I got is only from second servlet. The reason is, see the reason. I'll just show you the diagram and then talk to you. If you see this diagram, whatever I write by using out.println will go from servlet container to HTTP server. Right? In my first servlet I have written something. This is from first servlet. So this should have come here, right? And again servlet container has forwarded to second servlet. Again that wrote something, it might have come here. Whatever HTTP server receives, it should have forwarded to browser. So I was expecting the output of both the servlets, but only second servlet output I got. Now the reason is, tell me here, a print writer internally, is it using buffering or not? Yes, it is internally using buffering. Whenever I say println, it will not immediately write. It will keep whatever I have written inside the buffer. Once the buffer is full, it will write. So here in this case, I have written this is from first servlet. Still it is in buffer. When it is still in buffer, I am trying to forward. Right? So what the container will do is, before forwarding, it will clear everything present inside the buffer and then forward. Right? So whatever was there in the buffer was cleared before forwarding. Who is clearing? Servlet container is clearing the buffer and then forwarding. So that is the reason why you are not seeing the output of first servlet. Okay? Now what I can do is, I can flush. If something is there in the buffer, If I flush, that will go immediately. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to flush out dot flush. Okay, now tell me what will be the output. I should see the output of both the solids. This is from first solid and this from second solid. Now see here, I'll just restart and then show you what will be the output. Okay, I restarted and then refreshed. So I got the output of first solid only. Okay, now you need to understand some logic here. The rule is, according to solid specification, whenever one solid is forwarding to other solid, the output should not be committed. This is the rule in solid specification. What do I mean by committing the response? If I flush, the response is sent to the server, right? HTTP server, right? Means the response is committed, we say. So before forwarding the request, you should not flush, or in other words, you should not commit the response. If you commit the response, what the container will do is, it will throw an exception. See on the console, an exception is thrown. Illegal state exception. What is it saying? Cannot forward after the response has been committed. Right? So before forwarding, you need to keep in mind the response should not be committed. Committing means flushing. Okay? That is the rules which you need to remember while forwarding. Okay? If you don't flush, what the container will do? It will clear the buffer of print writer and then forward. Okay? If you flush, container will throw an exception, it will not forward. That's the reason why you are seeing the output of first servlet only. Okay? Any doubts? Okay, now I have another doubt. See, while forwarding, request dispatcher I am using. To forward, these are the steps I said. First I got the reference of servlet context. Then for forwarding I require an object called request dispatcher. Then request dispatcher dot forward. To the forward method I am passing request object, response object. Now in the second servlet, for do get method, request object and response object are required, right? Second servlet also will be using same request object and response objects. So whatever you are passing to the forward method here will be passed to the second servlet also. These request and response objects are same whenever you are forwarding. Okay, that I want you to understand. Now the next thing, whenever I am forwarding, I am getting output of only one servlet, either of first servlet or second servlet. I want the output of two servlets. What I need to do is simply, instead of forwarding, I will use include request dispatcher dot include. If I say, it will include the output of both the servlets, first servlet as well as second servlet. So I will be seeing the output. This is from first servlet, this is from second servlet. So we have understood how to include and forward. Let me show you the output. If I am giving refresh, see, I am getting output. This is from first servlet, this is from second servlet. But tell me, the browser, is it knowing that the request is forwarded? See the URL. The URL is still pointing to first. So the client, the browser does not know that the request is being forwarded. Everything is happening on the server side. Only the server knows that the request is being forwarded. The client, the browser does not know. As far as the browser knows, it is giving a request to first servlet only. Okay? There is another way of getting request dispatcher. See, instead of saying context should get request dispatcher, I can say request dot get request dispatcher. There are two ways to get a request dispatcher. Either I can use context object to get request dispatcher, or I can use request object to get request dispatcher. Okay? These are the two concepts. Servlet redirection. See, have you ever noticed, if you type gmail.com, have you ever noticed that the URL is changed in the browser? Okay, I'll just show you quickly. I am just typing gmail.com. They type stop. When I typed gmail.com, the browser is automatically going to google.com/account/service login, right? So now let us try to understand how to make it possible. Now, similarly, what I want to do is, I will give a request to first servlet. Automatically, the browser should make a request to second servlet. Browser URL also should change now. Previously, while forwarding, you noticed, if you have noticed, the browser's URL didn't change. See, here I am giving a request to /first. I think I stopped my server. I'll start it. See, here I am giving a request to first servlet. The URL didn't change, even though it is forwarded or included. Right? Now, once I redirect, the browser also will change the URL. Let us try to understand how this is happening. Okay, see my first servlet. See the code clearly. I am commenting these lines. Tell me, what is 404 HTTP status code? While not for 200.
Okay.
200 means yeah, okay or success. There is a status code called 301, which indicates redirection. So now I'll set a response header. Previously we have written a program to print request headers. As I told, a response, HTTP response also are having headers. Now I'll set response status code. Response dot set status. I will set the status to 301. I am manually setting the status. By default it will be success, it will be success. 404 if file not found. Now I am manually setting the status 301. 301 means once the browser receives the status code of 301, the browser understands, oh, I need to make a request to some other location. Right? So then the browser will look for another header, response header. So I am setting that also. Response dot set header. Header name is location, and I'll give second. Okay. So what I'm doing is, when a request comes to first servlet, the response will go. This is the response which will go. But along with response, status code is what 301. And there is another response header called location, called second, the URL pattern. Right? So the browser receives this response. But once the browser sees that the status code is 301, according to HTTP protocol, it is for redirection. Browser understands, oh, I have to make another request to another location. What is the location? It will look for a header called location, response header called location, second. So if I don't use slash, that means it is relative URL. Right? So it will replace the last part with this one to make a request. So now let us see what will happen if I give a request. You will understand it once you see how it works. Yeah, now I'll just refresh it. I'm giving a request to /first. See, previously it was /first. Now automatically browser has changed it to /second. Right? The URL of the browser also is changing. So what is happening is, when it gave a request to /first, first server got the request. First server got the request. It is sending a status code of 301. The browser received the response also, but browser immediately made a request to second. Right? If I don't use slash here, that means that I am giving a relative URL. Relative URL means it will replace, it will remove the last part after slash and it will add whatever I gave in the location, second. So it will make a request to second. So now if you press enter, see, automatically the URL of the browser also is changing. This is how redirection can happen. Okay. There is a shortcut for this. Instead of writing these two lines, I'll comment both. What I'll do is I'll say response dot send redirect, and I'll give second here. Okay. So inside response class there is a method called send redirect. Inside send redirect method, these two lines are already present, right? So this is a shortcut. Response or send redirect we can directly use instead of writing these two lines. Instead of we setting the status code and instead of we setting the header code location, we can simply say response or send redirect. Output will be exactly same. Just try it. Yes. See, a very good doubt. Varun has got a very good doubt. Nobody has asked me, why am I not giving slash here? While forwarding or including, I have given slash. Here I have given slash while including or forwarding. But here I didn't use slash. Why? If I don't use slash, it means that it is related to URL, related to the current URL. Okay, now what I'll do is I'll just give slash. It means that it is absolute URL. Means browser will remove whatever is after the port number and will try to use it. Let us see now if I give slash what will happen. Yeah, I'll just restart. And then here I will give request to slash first. Okay, I'll just close all the browsers. Now I will use this one. I will use another browser. Yep, see here, I am giving a request to slash first. See the URL. Whatever is after port number is removed, and the value whatever I give. If I give slash, whatever is coming after port number is removed and second is added. It is absolute. If I give slash, browser will treat it as absolute URL. Means after port number, I will treat that I am giving all the path after port number. But if I don't give, what will happen? It will treat it as an absolute URL. Means only the last part of the URL will be removed and second will be added there. Right? That you need to understand. Okay, very good doubt, but now I have another thing, another doubt along with this. Anyway, you have raised this doubt. Tell me, when I am forwarding, let's assume that there are two web applications running in Tomcat. Is it possible? Under Tomcat, can two applications run? Yes, it is possible. When I am forwarding, I have a doubt. In Tomcat, can there be two web applications running at a time? Yes. In web apps directory, I can keep two applications or n number of applications. Let us assume that there are two applications running in Tomcat. Okay, application A and application B. This is application A, let's assume, and this is application B, let's assume, right? In this application A, let's assume that there is a servlet called first. In application B, there is a servlet called second. Now, now the question is, will I be able to forward from servlet first to servlet second? They are not in same application. They are present in two applications. Slash first is present in first application. Slash second is present in second application. Now will I be able to forward the request from first servlet to second servlet? First servlet of application A to second servlet of application B? No. While forwarding, I will be able to forward a request from one servlet to other servlet only if they are present in same application. I cannot forward a request to other application, right? But I can I redirect or not? Yes, I can redirect, because what is happening while redirecting? Browser is making a fresh request. It can make a request to anywhere. So while redirecting, I can redirect to anywhere, not only to the same application, right? So now see here, let's assume that I have two applications, this is application A. Let's assume that first servlet is in application A. I want to give a request to second servlet present in application B. So what I can do is I can do like this, slash A slash second. I am giving slash means it is absolute URI. Now after port number what? Okay, slash B, sorry. Slash B, second application is slash B. So it will be absolute URL, right? So whenever I give a request to first servlet present in application A, it will try to redirect to slash B slash second. If I give slash, meaning is everything after port number will be removed and this will be added. So the URL will be like this. So if I give a URL like this, see here. If I give a URL like this, http colon slash slash localhost colon port number 8080 slash application A slash first. If I give a request like this, okay, now the response will come to browser and browser will make a fresh request to another URL, http colon slash slash localhost colon 8080 slash, as I give slash, it will be B slash second. So now if this is the request made, this request will go to application B and second, right? Okay, so while redirecting I can redirect to anywhere, even out of application also. But while forwarding, we can forward to a servlet present in same application. You cannot forward to a servlet present in different application. That is the difference between forwarding and including. Okay. So common question asked is, what is the difference between servlet forwarding and servlet including? Now I tell the differences. First difference, when forwarding, is the client, the browser, knowing that it is forwarded? No. Everything is happening on server side. The browser will show the same URL. So client is not known during forwarding. Client does not know that the request is being forwarded from one server to other, because the browser is showing the same URL. And in redirecting, the browser itself is making a fresh request, right? So browser knows that it is happening, right? Redirection is happening. And second thing is, if during forwarding you can forward to any servlet or any resource present in same application, but while redirecting you can redirect to anywhere. This is the second difference between redirecting and forwarding. See here, in first servlet, from first servlet, let's assume that I am forwarding to second servlet. I'll comment these lines. Now let us talk about forwarding only. These are the again lines I am commenting. From first servlet I am forwarding to second servlet. So rd dot forward. Okay. Before forwarding, what I want to do is, I want to fetch some data from the database, and then whatever I fetch in this first servlet, I want it to be available inside the second servlet. Okay, this is a scenario, second scenario. In first servlet, I want to fetch some data from the database. I want to file a select query. I'll get some data. So whatever I fetch in the first servlet, after fetching what I do, I'll forward to second servlet. Whatever I fetch in the first servlet should be available to second servlet, right? So if this is a scenario, what I can do, see here, let's assume that I have a class called employee here. Simply I'll just create a class called employee to demonstrate it, which will be having again all ID, name and salary. What I will do is here, just to simulate the database call, assume that this employee object is created by fetching it from the database. New employee I am creating. Okay, for demo purpose here I have created new employee here. Assume that this employee object is coming from the database. Now I want this employee object to be accessible inside the second servlet. What I can do is I can say request dot set attribute. I can give an attribute name emp and I'll say e. See now, if I want some data to be available in second servlet, what am I doing? Before forwarding, I am setting an attribute in request. The name of the attribute is emp and value is employee object. Okay? Okay, to just demonstrate again, here tell me while forwarding, I am forwarding same request object. The same request object will be available to second servlet. This request object is same as that one, right? So what I can do here, I can say request dot, there I have set here, I can say get attribute. If I give the attribute, what is the attribute name I gave? emp I gave. emp is the attribute name. If I give emp, it will return me the object value, right? I know that it is employee object, I can typecast it to employee. So the employee object which I have set in first servlet is accessible inside the second servlet, right? So this is the way to set an attribute. If you want some data which has been processed by first servlet to be available to second servlet, the concept is you have to set it as an attribute inside request, then forward. While forwarding, observe, whatever request, while forwarding to the forward method I am passing request and response object, same request and response object also will be available to second servlet, right? So here I can say request dot get attribute. There I have set attribute, here I have set get attribute, right? Any notes? Okay. Now once you understand this concept, if I am forwarding, same request object is available. So here if I get attribute, I will be getting the employee object, right? Instead of forwarding, what if I redirect? Instead of forwarding, I will comment these two lines and add this line. Here, will it redirect to second? Oh, sorry, not this one. Where is it? Send redirect. It will redirect to second servlet, right? When redirecting, browser is making a fresh request to second servlet or not? Fresh request means this request object is different, right? So if I say get attribute on that object, it's a new request object. It's not same request object as the one in first servlet. So this attribute will not be there. It will return null. It will return null, right? So another difference between redirecting and forwarding, the attributes which are set in request will not be available when you are redirecting, because while redirecting you are making a fresh request, right? Fresh request means request object also is a new request object, right? So that is the difference. Now tell me, again coming back to forward. Coming back to forward again, I am setting an attribute called employee here and then forwarding. After forwarding, the control will go to second servlet. Let's assume the response came back to client. What about this request object and response object? Are these local variables? Tell me. The variables, the parameters to methods are nothing but local variables. Once the control comes out of the method, these are garbage collected. right? All local variables, once the control comes out of a method, they will be garbage collected. They are garbage, right? Local variables are stored on the stack, right? So once the response comes back to the client, the request object and response object are eligible for garbage collection, right? So what about the values you set in request? You have set employee inside your request in first servlet, right? Will it also be eligible for garbage collection? See the concept again, I am explaining. Once I give a request to first servlet, new request object is created before calling doGet here, right? New request object is created. On that request object, you are setting an object called employee. Here you are forwarding, okay, forwarded. It will go to here. This all will get executed, okay. And again, that control will go back to the response will go back to the client. Once the response goes back to the client, what about request object which is created here? Will it be garbage collector or not? Once the response is sent back, the request object and response object will be garbage collected. If request object itself is garbage collected, what about the attribute set in request? It will also be garbage collected. So until what time is an attribute set in request be present? Until what time is employee object present in the memory? Until the response is served back to the client. Once the client gets the response, this request object and response object are garbage collected. And the attributes which are set inside it also are garbage collected. Right? So what do you mean by scope of a variable? Lifetime of a variable. Until what time is it accessible, right? Now what is the scope or what is the lifetime of an object attribute which is set in request until the response goes back to the client, right? Means until the request is completed. Until the request is completed by the server, the objects which you are setting inside request will be present inside the memory, right? The lifetime of employee object which is set in request now is until request object is there in the memory. Until request object is there in the memory, employee object also will be there, right? So we say that scope of an attribute which is set in request as request scope, because once the request is served to the client, these objects, request object and response objects, are garbage collected, and whatever attributes is set in them are also garbage collected. So we say that scope of an attribute is request scope. Any doubts? Now let's assume that I have a third servlet. I have another servlet called third servlet. See here. Okay, inside this third servlet, if I say request.get attribute, will I be able to get it? Inside this third servlet, if I say request.get attribute emp I typecast it to employee. Okay, now when I say request to get attribute, see, let's assume that I gave a request to first servlet now. I'll give a request to first servlet /first. Request is set in emp, employee set in request, right? I give a request to first servlet, employee set in request, it is forwarded to second servlet, and again the response, client got the response, right? Now I said request object will be destroyed. Attribute employee also will be destroyed. After this I gave a request to third servlet, and I said here request to get attribute. Will I be able to get it now? This is a new request object, right? Inside this new request object there is no attribute called employee right now, so not be get, right? So until what time are the attributes set in request available? Until this request is being served. And until the client gets a response, the request object will be there, attributes also will be there, right? Now what I want is, I want an attribute to be available even after the request has been served. Even after this request has been served, I'll give a request to first servlet. Here I am setting here, right? I want this employee to be available even after the response has been served. What I can do is, instead of setting it in request, I can set it in context. Get servlet context. I'll get servlet context dot set attribute, again emp e. Now tell me how many servlet context objects will be there inside the application? Only one. So if I say get servlet context in first servlet, I'll be getting same servlet context. Inside third servlet also, if I say get servlet context, I'll just comment this. If I say get servlet context, I'll be getting reference of same servlet context object dot get attribute. If I say, I'll be getting the same employee object. So what is the, until what time is this employee object present in memory? Whatever I have set here, I have set an attribute in context. As long as context object is there in memory, I can always say get attribute, right? When is this servlet context object destroyed? When is servlet context object created? When my application starting. Servlet context object will be destroyed when my application is getting stopped. And as long as my application is running, servlet context object will be there in memory. Whatever attributes I set inside it will also be there in memory, right? So if you want something to be available to all servlets in your application, you can set it in servlet context, right? So now, what is the scope of an attribute set in servlet context? Means until what time is this employee object set in servlet context available? As long as the servlet context is available. Servlet context is available as long as my application is running. So I can say that scope of an attribute which is set in servlet context as application scope. As long as my application is running, this attribute which is set in servlet context is available. So scope of an attribute which is set in servlet context is application scope. Scope of an attribute which is set in request object is request scope. Means once the request is served, they are destroyed. So that's why we say it is request scope. So we understood about two scopes. Request scope. First page, what I want is, I want your first page to be HTML page. It should ask for employee ID. I am assuming that there is a table called employee in the database. I am assuming, I just draw a diagram. In my database, I am assuming a table like this, employee table. Which is having employee ID, name and salary. Now my first page should be like this. My first page should be a HTML page which should ask for employee ID. It should ask for ID and a submit button. This is a submit button. Once I submit, the request should go to a servlet called get employee details. I am just giving the URL servlet URL pattern also. I want it to go to a servlet. Once I submit it, I want the request should go to a servlet with URL pattern /display. Okay. What I want you to do is, here inside this display, I want you to file a select query. Select starts from employee, where employee ID is equals to whatever you have entered. In this servlet, you know how to get this ID? Request.get parameter, you will get the ID. Once you get the ID, you file a query. Select start from employee where ID is equals to. You will get that employee row. You will create an employee object. set it in request scope, then forward to, okay, here, okay, for clarity what I'll do is I'll name this servlet as get details, simply, to be meaningful, slash get details. In this get details servlet, fire a query, create an employee object for that ID, set it in request scope, forward to another servlet. This is a servlet, next servlet. The URL pattern of this servlet is slash display. Forward it to this servlet, and here you should say request or get attribute in display servlet. You should get an employee object, then print employee ID, employee name, employee salary, whatever you have fetched from the database. Right? Do it. Let the HTML page name also be askid.html. Write askid.html first. Once you submit, it should go to a servlet with URL pattern get details. Here you should fire a select query. Only one field, employee ID. Okay, in this table you have employee ID, name and salary. Right, you fire a query based on ID, you will get employee object. Employee object, I have to set it in scope, then forward to display servlet. In display servlet, you display all the details which you fetch from the database, employee ID, name and salary. So if I just give employee ID, I want output which will display all the other details.